Here we have a historic Henry rifle passed down through generations. It originally belonged to the guest's grandfather and was later given to her by her husband. This isn't just any rifle, it's the forerunner of the legendary Winchester repeating rifle. Designed by P. Tyler Henry, this 44 caliber lever-action rifle could fire 15 shots in rapid succession. It was first used in warfare during the war between the states, making it a prized piece of American history. The standout feature? Its rare iron frame, which sets it apart from later models. The serial number, 64, confirms this is an incredibly early production piece. Though its original blue finish has faded into a rich patina, the rifle remains in excellent condition. B. Tyler Henry, the designer, worked for the New Haven Arms Company before founding his own firearm brand. One of his biggest challenges was securing funding to mass-produce his rifles, as early investors were hesitant. The first Henry rifles were produced in New Haven, Connecticut, marking the beginning of a revolution in repeating firearms. A true piece of American firearms history and a family treasure.
I would estimate this rifle today from $75,000 to $100,000.
My goodness, thank you very much.
Now, isn't that a nice surprise?
It sure.
This guy came up with a Civil War-era rifle that's been in his family since at least 1912. He assumed it was a Confederate weapon because of the South Carolina marking on the plate, but this musket has lived multiple lives. It was originally made in New Haven, Connecticut by the Whitney Company. Yes, that Whitney, as in Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin. The rifle actually predates the Civil War, dating back to around 1810. Whitney had a contract to supply South Carolina with weapons, making this musket part of that historical deal.
And we have almost a cookie-cutter design stamp on it that says a 28.
Yes.
That's unusual for these guns. Most of the time it just has the SO Carolina.
It was originally a flintlock, but was later converted to a percussion system, likely during the Civil War. In the 1800s, South Carolina heavily armed itself, preparing for conflicts decades before the Civil War began. The conversion from flintlock to percussion was common among Confederate forces, as they often repurposed older firearms instead of producing new ones. Whitney's firearms played a crucial role in American history, supplying both Northern and Southern forces at different times. If this rifle didn't have the South Carolina mark, it would be worth around $1,500. Because of the mark, it appeals to elite collectors, pushing its value to an incredible amount.
Even in this condition, the retail value on this gun would be between $6,000 and $8,000.
What? $6,000 and $8,000?
And I think that's a little conservative.
Wow, I'm amazed, totally amazed.
Today we have a Maynard carbine, a Civil War-era firearm with a fascinating history. This gun was left in the guest's great-great-grandmother's house by a Union soldier in Mississippi. At first, the guest thought it was a Marbury carbine, but it turned out to be a Maynard, a rifle named after its brilliant inventor. Maynard was a prolific firearms designer who held numerous patents.
You remember the old cap guns that had the primer tape that rolled up, that popped?
Yeah.
Maynard helped develop that.
This innovative feature allowed for rapid firing, until it broke or got wet, making it unreliable in the field. The gun's serial number, 2406, places it within a range that could have been sold to the South before the Civil War. Many Maynard carbines were used as sharpshooter rifles, thanks to their 50 caliber design
But they used them almost like a sharpshooter's gun, and that's what this is on the back. We actually have the long-range sight. The front one is a steady sight for 200 yards, and this one is adjustable for long range.
Despite its crusty appearance, this rifle is considered a battlefield relic, adding to its historical charm. Dr. Edward Maynard, the gun's inventor, was also a dentist and developed his primer system while improving dental tools. One of his biggest challenges was convincing the US military to adopt his designs, as traditional percussion caps were more reliable. The first Maynard rifles were produced in Washington, D.C., where he set up his workshop before expanding production. A hidden surprise was found in the patch box, a spare firing nipple worth an additional $250. A remarkable firearm with deep Civil War roots and an unexpected bonus inside.
In today's world, this is a gun that I would insure for about $4,000.
Okay. That's great.
Today we have a Civil War-era rifle that's been in the guest's family since 1940. His father bought it from Bannerman's, a legendary military surplus dealer. For collectors, Bannerman's catalog was like a Christmas wish book, packed with rare Civil War weapons. This rifle is a Model 1861 Springfield, produced by Savage Firearms in 1863. Savage is better known for shotguns, but during the war, they made just 25,520 of these rifles. This particular one was made for the state of New Jersey. The guest found an old catalog listing similar rifles for around $12, postage included. After the Civil War, Bannermans bought enormous stockpiles of surplus weapons and resold them for over a century. The Model 1861 Springfield was the standard-issue rifle for Union troops and saw action in major battles. Savage Firearms' venture into rifle production was brief, but their weapons remain highly sought after by collectors. Today, because of its condition and unique provenance, this rifle is an absolute gem.
Would retail for about $2,500.
That's wonderful. Can I shoot it?
I would never shoot it.
Here we have a Colt third model dragoon revolver with a mysterious past. The guest found it in his father's trunk, a locked stash of odds and ends that had been off limits for years. His father, a lifelong North Dakota resident, never mentioned where it came from. This revolver was manufactured in the mid-1850s.
This is one of Colt's early Hartford models. Colt originally founded his business in Paterson, New Jersey in 1836.
It's a 6-shot, black powder percussion revolver, designed for both military and civilian use. What makes this piece stand out is the unusual wooden wedge, a makeshift repair that has surprisingly endured. Despite missing a screw and having a cracked grip, the revolver remains in good condition. Samuel Colt initially struggled in the firearms business, going bankrupt in 1842 before his big break. Partnering with Eli Whitney Jr. in Hartford, he perfected mass production techniques that revolutionized gun manufacturing. The third model Dragoon became one of Colt's most famous revolvers, favored for its firepower and durability. The revolver's deep brown patina gives it a time-worn charm that collectors admire.
If I had it at auction, I think I would put somewhere around $2,500 to $3,500 on it.
Well, good. That's good to know.
This guy came up with a fascinating Deringer pistol that's tied to an intriguing family story. The guest's father-in-law claimed it was the same model that killed Lincoln, though they had no proof. While Lincoln was assassinated with a .44 caliber Deringer, this pistol was actually made by Andrew Werflein. Werflein was a Philadelphia gunsmith who crafted pistols in the exact same style as Henry Deringer. This particular gun dates back to the 1850s or 1860s, placing it right in the era of Lincoln's assassination. Adding to its rarity, the top of the lock is marked with TF-NO.
And included in those furnishings were firearms. The NO stands for New Orleans.
Collectors seek out these agent-marked Deringers, especially those from southern distributors. Though this pistol has some condition issues, wood loss and a replaced trigger guard, it remains highly collectible.
What I've noticed also is that the trigger guard, it's a replacement.
Okay.
At some point or other, the trigger guard had broken off, and they replaced it with that.
Andrew Werflein faced tough competition from Deringer, whose name became synonymous with pocket pistols. One of his challenges was distinguishing his work from Deringer's, as many gun dealers marketed them interchangeably. His workshop operated in Philadelphia until the 1860s, producing high-quality firearms alongside Deringer's company. The guest's wife had suspected it was worth more, and she was right. A small but valuable piece of firearms history, carrying the echoes of its time.
At auction, somewhere around $1,500 to $2,500.
Okay, my wife was right. Then I've got to give her credit for that.
Today we have a Smith & Wesson Model No. 1, a compact revolver with an unexpected twist. The guest received it from a neighbor who had borrowed it from her grandfather. While the revolver itself is a known collectible, its real value lies elsewhere. This model was manufactured between 1860 and 1868, during the height of the Civil War. But here's the catch. The real star of this appraisal is the case it came in. Smith & Wesson revolutionized firearms with this model, introducing the first American-made revolver that used self-contained metallic cartridges. It was especially popular among Union soldiers, travelers, and civilians looking for a reliable pocket pistol. Original presentation cases, especially those in good condition, significantly boost a firearm's value for collectors. What seemed like just an old revolver turned out to be a well-preserved piece of history.
On the gun, the value would be in the $200 to $400 range at auction, but combined would be in the $1,000 to $1,200 range.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever stumbled upon something that completely changed your view of hidden treasures? A few weekends ago, a curious collector wandered through a lively flea market. With its deep color and intricate patterns, it was captivating. He purchased it for a mere $35, hardly able to believe his good fortune.
I happened to see it. I've been collecting masks now since about the early 80s, and I decided to purchase it. It only cost me $35.
Later that day, he discovered it was a Makandi mask from Tanzania and Mozambique. This mask played a vital role in Lipiko initiation ceremonies for young boys and girls. Dancers would wear these masks to symbolize the transformative journey into adulthood.
And it's used in the initiation for young boys and young girls. What you see is you see all this fabulous scarification on here.
The scarification patterns were rich with meaning, telling tales of identity and culture. When he had it valued, the expert estimated it could be worth between $500 and $700.
I believe this piece is worth $500 to $700.
Oh, that's great.
Is that higher than 35?
Oh, yes, that's really great.
Appreciate you bringing it in.
Yeah, thank you.
The collector left feeling triumphant, eager for his next discovery. In the end, he realized the true value lay not just in the money, but in the stories each treasure held. What if the bronze sculptures of your great-great-grandparents weren't simply family heirlooms, but rare works of art? These two figures tell a remarkable story through both their heritage and craftsmanship.
Peter Louis Ravenet, and this is Edmunda Ravenet, and they are my great-great-grandparents. They are French Huguenots, fled to Germany, ended up in Berlin.
Both Peter and Edmund were French Huguenots who fled to Germany and found success in Berlin. Peter became a renowned steel and iron entrepreneur and a passionate patron of the arts. But it's how these sculptors found their way back to the family that adds another layer to their mystique. The guest's uncle, while browsing art galleries in New York, stumbled upon the statues in a window, recognizing the family name, and brought them home. But it wasn't just the sentimental connection that made them special. Their names inlaid in silver on the bronze set these pieces apart, showing the attention to detail by Gustav Bleique, a respected artist of the time. And it doesn't stop there. The sculpture also includes inlaid copper and gold. Signed and dated 1847, these portraits are more than just sculptures. They're works of art steeped in history and culture.
They're actually set in silver.
Yeah.
So the silver is inlaid into the bronze.
Okay.
And on her purse here, that's also inlaid with copper and gold.
For an original purchase price of $10,000 in 1986, the guest's family acquired something truly unique. Today, with their quality, craftsmanship, and historical significance, the insurance value could reach an astounding.
I would put an insurance value of these for around $25,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the pair.
For the pair,
right.
Yeah.
Family inherited a 1902-1903 Portland police mugshot album from a family friend. The album contained around 1,500 photographs, documented crimes, and arrests. It provided an insight into Portland's colorful history, including river pirates and Shanghai tunnels.
It's about Portland's history. You can see when the riverfront was really active and the Shanghai tunnels.
The album featured detailed information about individuals, including names, aliases, addresses, ages, weights, occupations, and crimes. These photos represented vernacular photography, capturing everyday life.
These images have a relationship to photography that's part of a new genre of photography called vernacular photography.
Institutions and private collectors value these images for their universal storytelling. The album's condition varies, with some pages complete and others incomplete. This unique piece offers a glimpse into Portland's early 20th century law enforcement and social history, and it was valued at.
Were this to come to a public auction, an estimate would be in the $6,000 to $9,000 range.
That's wow.
Imagine furniture that could tell stories of barter, history, and Hollywood. In the 1920s, a doctor in Southern California started receiving furniture instead of cash. His patients couldn't always pay with money, so they bought goods. One patient, a prop master at a studio, gave him Western-style furniture. The prop master, Ernie Hickman, crafted pieces for movie sets. Tables, chairs, and cupboards from Western films soon filled the doctor's home.
There's a prop master down there by the name of Ernie Hickman
who made a lot of furniture for the different studios for the Western sets.
One standout piece was a solid oak table with rich wood grain and medullary rings. This style was popular, influenced by cowboy movies. The table became the heart of the home. It wasn't just decoration. They ate, gathered, and built memories around it. The craftsmanship was unmistakable. Hand-carved dovetail joints and large rustic hinges were details only a master could create.
And this is the Western look.
Yeah.
It was very popular in the 1920s and 30s. It combines part cowboy, it's romantic, and with the advent of cowboy movies, it became really popular.
Even the chairs told a story. Designed for cowboys to relax after a long day, they added to the Western feel of the home. Some pieces might have been used on old movie sets, though it is hard to confirm. But the Hollywood connection does make the collection unique. Without proof, the value is estimated between $10,000 and $15,000. If it's linked to a movie, though, it could be much more.
Without any provenance relating to the movie set, the auction estimate would be between $10,000 and $15,000.
With that said, the Doctor's journey of collecting was a success, and he always looked forward to discovering more hidden gems. Have you ever come across something old and wondered about its hidden history? That's exactly what happened to John when he found an old box in his father's attic. The box had been with his family since the 70s, when his father rescued it from the trash in Long Beach, California. For years it sat forgotten. John never thought twice about it until a trip to New York, where he saw a similar box in a museum. It was strikingly familiar, and it got him thinking, could this old dusty box have more significance than they knew?
Joseph Cornell was an artist born in 1903. He lived in New York. He was a surrealist and a constructivist. He believed in constructivism, which is this Russian movement which believed in severe lines and very severe kind of austere spaces.
The box itself was curious, an old cue ball, tiny figurines, seashells, all arranged behind glass. It felt strange, yet captivating. John took it to an art dealer, hoping for answers, but the dealer dismissed it. To him, it was just an odd, worthless trinket. Cornell rarely left New York, but his work made its way to the West Coast. In 1962, he had a show in LA. Could that be how this box ended up in Long Beach? There were no signatures, no markings to prove it was Cornell's, but the possibility hung in the air. What if? If it was genuine, experts said it could be worth $100,000 to $150,000. But for John, it wasn't about the price.
Auction with an estimate of $100,000 to $150,000.
$100,000 to $150,000. Oh my God. Wow.
The box held something much more valuable, memories of his father and the mystery surrounding its origins. With that said, his visit was successful, and he looked forward to more. In 2016, an Antiques Roadshow guest brought in a historic drawing by Erik Magnusson, a renowned Danish silver designer. The drawing, created in 1927, was for Goreham's silver cubic coffee set, inspired by Picasso's Cubist paintings. Magnusson worked at Goreham from 1925 to 1929 and designed this iconic piece. The guest, Vicky, had family ties to Magnusson and provided paperwork and newspaper clippings. Research revealed the finished coffee set was housed at the Rhode Island School of Design, RISD.
The finished set is now in the Rhode Island School of Design, and here we have the original drawing.
Right.
After the episode aired, academic interest surged, solidifying the drawing's significance. RISD was planning a Goreham Silver retrospective, with the cubic coffee set as a centerpiece.
Planning the exhibition, we knew we were going to include key pieces from our collection, the cubic service certainly being one of them. We have been working on this exhibition since 2014, and while we were working on this exhibition,
the drawing's discovery was a major find, allowing RISD to first include it in the exhibition, then purchasing it from the owner, reuniting it with the coffee set. Minor conservation was done to repair edge losses and remove tape, and now its current value was estimated at.
Now that the work has been correctly conserved, I think the value could almost be double what we said on the show. It could be $20,000 to $30,000.
Have you ever stumbled upon something that sparked your curiosity? 6 months ago, that's exactly what happened to Jake. He was exploring a quaint antique mall in Kansas City. It stood out with its bold elephant feet. Intrigued, Jake knelt down to take a closer look. Chinese characters adorned its surface, hinting at a fascinating history. Eager to learn more, he sought the insight of a local expert. The expert explained that this piece is from the Jiaqing period. At auction, it could be valued as follows.
We're looking at something that's worth $8,000 to $12,000 at auction.
Could you say that again?
$8,000 to $12,000 at auction.
Jake was taken aback by the news. With that said, his visit was successful, and he looked forward to more adventures in uncovering history's secrets. This whaling log, passed down through generations, belonged to the owner's great-great-grandfather, an oiling master on the Covington.
It belonged to my great-great-grandfather, who in his youth was a whaling master out of Bristol, Rhode Island.
From 1853 to 1855, the Covington sailed to the Antarctic Sea and mid-Pacific Ocean, documenting its journey in meticulous detail.
And he went on an almost 3-year voyage on the bark the Covington, I believe May 1853 to December 1855.
The log's handwritten entries reveal the harsh realities of life at sea, including whale hunting and trading with native islanders.
What we have there in the photograph is a picture of him later when he was in the Civil War. We start here what he was doing on a July 4th, when you said the 77th anniversary of the signing.
Intricate scrimshaw artwork and whale tracking stamps adorn the log's pages.
And he would stamp in the borders when they caught a whale and cut it up and boiled the blubber and things.
During a rare shore leave, native islanders visited the ship, trading provisions and interacting with the crew. This encounter, described in vivid detail, offered a rare glimpse into cultural exchanges during the whaling era.
You can imagine, after being out on ship, what all that entailed.
He was probably a couple years out at that point. I'm sure that he didn't show that passage to his wife.
The log serves as a historical window into the lives of 19th century whaling sailors, so this one-of-a-kind artifact was estimated at,
I would say, a conservative retail value on this, being one of a kind, $5,000, maybe $7,000.
Goodness.
Step into the captivating world of the circus with a unique collection of historic photographs featuring legends like P.T. Barnum and the mesmerizing performers of the 19th century. The collection includes photographs gathered over 15 years, and a notable piece is an autographed picture of P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum, the legendary showman, is closely associated with the circus. The photographer, Eisenman, had a New York studio catering to circus performers. Eisenman captured famous figures like Millie and Christine, Siamese twins. Other subjects include the Albino sisters, the snake charmer, and the bearded lady. The photographs are cabinet cards, album prints from the 1870s and 1880s. Many are signed, like the Count and Countess Maggie's photograph, with an inscription. There are also carte de visite, such as one of Rose de Alma. Circassian women, like Rose, were introduced to the circus by Barnum. The collection is valued by the appraiser.
At auction, I would estimate them at $10,000 to $15,000.
Introducing a historical gem, the first ever book on women's rights, written in English. Titled The Laws and Resolutions of Women's Rights, the book was purchased at an estate sale for only $2. Published in 1632, it's a historical treasure. Despite missing the first page and having some other minor damage, the book is surprisingly well preserved and quite rare. The seller hoped to have doubled her investment by selling the book for $4, but to her surprise, the estimate auction value is.
And it probably has an auction estimate in this condition of $6,000 to $8,000.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I am serious.
Oh my goodness.
I am. See? Women's rights.
The book's market value has surged to a remarkable $10,000 to $15,000. In a recent appraisal, a guest brings 2 large examples of Clewell pottery, purchased by his daughter at an estate auction for around $300 to $325 each. These unique pieces, created by Charles Clewell between 1903 and 1950, are covered in a metal coating with a patented finish, making the colors fixed and vibrant. Clewell's process, influenced by a Roman artifact seen by J.P. Morgan, has become rare since he instructed his heirs to burn his formula after his death, preventing replication. The pottery is particularly valuable due to its size, color, combination, and condition, with the rust and verdigris green tones remaining bright and crisp. The appraiser notes that such large, well-preserved pieces are uncommon, and finding a matched pair like this is even rarer. The pieces are clearly marked with Clewell's typical etched signature and production numbers, further confirming their authenticity. The guest is advised to clean the pottery gently with a damp cloth to preserve its delicate surface. Individually, the pots are valued at $3,000 to $4,000 each.
I think individually they have to be worth at least $3,000 to $4,000 a piece. A matched pair might bring $7,000 to $8,000.
But as a matched pair, they could fetch $7,000 to $8,000 and possibly even more at auction. This revelation leaves the guest astonished, having no idea of their true worth. Discover how a forgotten baseball card collection became a lifeline after a tornado, revealing unexpected treasures. She bought her husband's baseball cards from 1951 to 1958. His mother didn't throw them away, unlike many of his friends. She stored them in a grocery bag in the attic. While her husband was away, she looked through the cards. To her surprise, the collection was impressive. They examined the 1952 Topps Jackie Robinson card. It was graded a 6, valued at $2,000 to $4,000. Next was the 1954 Wilson Franks Ted Williams card. This card was graded at a 4 and worth $2,000 to $4,000. Finally, the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle rookie card was assessed, graded a 5. The card is really expensive.
We put an auction value on that one of $30,000 to $40,000.
You're kidding. Seriously.
Yeah.
In this Antiques Roadshow episode, a woman brings a piece of jewelry made from California Gold Rush nuggets. The jewelry was a gift from a miner who personally found the gold in Sacramento and gave it to her mother. The miner had a distinctive appearance, often wearing a red plaid shirt and suspenders, embodying the classic image of a 49er. The gold nuggets used in the jewelry are unique, including both small flakes and larger nuggets. The nuggets are unpolished, left in their natural state, as found in the ground. Some pieces also contain infusions of stones and other metals. The jewelry was made locally, not by a fancy jeweler, and features lead solder, which was typical for the time. The gold in the nuggets tests higher than 18 carats, while the brooch and bezel are gold-filled. The estimate value of the set is between £1,500 to £2,500.
I would give this an auction estimate of $1,500 to $2,500.
Oh, you're kidding. I just don't believe that.
This handmade piece of history highlights the miner's direct connection to the California Gold Rush. This piece is a $400 antique mall find. It's a pot that bears the classic Acoma pottery design. Many, however, have dismissed it as a Mexican replica. Nevertheless, it's an authentic Pueblo pot, not a reproduction. Acoma pottery is known for its thin walls and intricate geometric patterns. This unique piece challenges assumptions about Native American pottery. The guest's willingness to take a chance has thus paid off. It's a discovery that highlights the potential for treasures in unexpected places. As such, it's a reminder that in antiques, appearances can be deceiving. This modest investment has blossomed into a valuable find, now estimated between
Your $400 investment is worth between $3,000 and $5,000.
I think I did just fine.
A family heirloom with a vibrant past sits before us. Its green glow, a beacon of memories. This striking inkwell, once gracing a grandfather's desk, tells a tale of American artistry. Stamped Tiffany Studios, New York, it's a testament to early 20th century craftsmanship. This piece hails from the famous Tiffany Studios, run by Louis Comfort Tiffany. Part of a larger desk set, it represents a bygone era of gentlemen's office accessories.
One of the things they produced were desk set items, very popular from the turn of the century until the 1920s. They made, maybe 20, 30 different patterns.
It was created between 1900 and 1910, and its uniqueness lies in its blown-out Tiffany glass. The latticework design creates a mesmerizing effect.
So you have this lattice work that's cut out, and they actually blow the glass through this, so the glass protrudes.
Sadly, time has left its mark on this piece.
It has some condition issues here in this green discoloration. And you see these little white dots?
Yeah.
You know what that's from?
I have no idea.
Despite these quirks, the piece remains in remarkably good condition. Its rarity and green color set it apart from typical desk set pieces. In a specialized gallery, this Tiffany treasure would command a price of.
At a gallery or a shop specializing in Tiffany works, this would be about $5,000.
Really? Wow.
Discover the thrill of uncovering a hidden gem in the world of ski art, Sasha Mau's previously unseen masterpiece. The roadshow featured a remarkable ski poster by the renowned artist Sasha Mau.
Thanks for coming into the roadshow with this really great ski poster.
This particular image is noteworthy as it's never been seen before, making it previously unreported. The excitement lies in the fact that even after 20 years in the poster business,
Grabbed my attention was that from all of his works that I'm familiar with, I've actually never seen this image before.
new discoveries still thrill enthusiasts. The rarity of this piece means it's unlikely to be found online, as it has never appeared at auction. This situation exemplifies the unique expertise appraisers provide in valuing unseen works. Most likely intended for a ski supply shop or a local mountain, the poster may include an overprinted name.
Us appraisers begin, and you really need someone who's in the business to help appraise something that's never been seen.
Appraisers believe this ski poster could fetch between $3,000 to $4,000 at auction.
At auction, I'd estimate this between $3,000 and $4,000.
This discovery underscores the ongoing allure of vintage art in the skiing community. Discover the story behind a rare collectible, a saddle with a legendary past. Awarded at the Amarillo Slim Preston Cutting Classic, this cutting horse saddle was awarded at the 1981 Amarillo Slim Preston, the Cutting Classic. This event took place at the Sahara in Reno, Nevada. It was found on a fence post and was in poor condition. The saddle was dried out and damaged from exposure. Amarillo Slim Preston was a famous poker player.
Amarillo Slim Preston was the legendary poker player. He cut quite the figure.
He did come up with his own Cutting Horse Classic.
He created the Cutting Horse Classic in question. Cutting involves separating cattle in pens for various tasks. The sport evolved from practical ranch work to competition. The saddle was made by Oliver Saddlery and is marked. Due to its association with Amarillo Slim, it's a unique collectible. It was bought for $300 and could sell for $800 to $1,200 at auction.
Probably $800 to $1,200 if it came on the market. Pretty easily.
Discover the timeless elegance of a 1930s Art Deco watch that effortlessly transforms into a bracelet, reflecting both vintage sophistication and innovative design. This is a convertible bracelet and watch from the 1930s and was bought during the Great Depression. The original owners were financially secure. The watch features a Swiss movement with 17 jewels.
Swiss movement, 17 jewels. It's a standard ladies' movement for a vintage watch, and it works perfectly.
And it was made by a lesser-known manufacturer. The bracelet can convert into a watch and vice versa, and the dial may be signed by a retail jeweler. The watch is in pristine condition except for the removed crystal.
And it's all in pristine condition. The one exception would be that the crystal has been taken off, and that was really to accommodate the opal going into the center section.
And an opal was added to the center section. The market for Art Deco watches has declined, and the modern preferences for smartphones impact vintage watch demand. This watch could be valued between $300 and $500 at auction.
So that's an Art Deco piece. If this ever came to auction, the watch would have a value of $300 to $500. Oh, wow.
Step aside, diamonds and pearls. Today's true showstopper is sleek, stylish, and ready to steal the spotlight. A dazzling mesh purse that's turning heads and redefining chic. A guest brings a metal mesh purse inherited from her grandmother. It was originally bought in 1920 for $4 and learns it's now worth between $200 and $250.
And they said it's worth $200 to $250. And when my grandmother brought it, probably in 1920, it was worth $4. So thanks, Grandma.
Another guest is thrilled to discover that her ring appraised at an impressive $10,000. Meanwhile, a set of vases believed to be priceless and from the 1700s in Spain, they were revealed to be from the 1800s and from the US and valued at only $30 to $50. One notable item is a Civil War gun, and it was valued at around $2,500, while another guest's antique pickle caster appraises at $100 to $200. One couple, amused by their experience, learns that their dirty serving plate holds no value at all. A guest brings in a Civil War sword purchased for $10 and was shocked to learn it's worth $3,000.
And all enough, I paid $10 for it and found out it was worth $3,000.
The episode showcases the surprise, joy, and sometimes disappointment of discovering the true value of cherished possessions. Guitars, they not only make beautiful music, but they also carry sentimental value and tell stories of the past. A guest brought in a mandolin that had belonged to his father, who likely acquired it around 1915. Although the guest's grandmother hoped his father would become a musician, he never learned to play, and the instrument stayed in his case for many years. Later, the guest's daughter tried to play it, but also didn't learn.
About 40 years, and then my oldest daughter tried to play it. She never learned to play it, and I guess that's why it's in such good shape, because nobody ever was musically inclined in the family.
Leaving the mandolin in great condition. The guest said he kept it because it looked nice, hoping someone in the family might play it one day. The appraiser was amazed when he saw it, pointing out its beautiful sunburst finish and original parts. He explained that vintage instruments like this Gibson F4 are now worth more. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
"The bottom line is, in today's market with the people that are searching after these things in this kind of condition, this would definitely be worth at least, say, $3,000 to $4,000.
All right, terrific.
The item in question is a standee, a collectible piece cherished by Elvis enthusiasts. The owner, an avid Elvis fan, discovered this standee thanks to some friends who were renovating a house. Upon finding it in the attic, the friends immediately thought of the owner, who is deeply passionate about Elvis. This standee is especially significant because it relates to Elvis's first feature-length film, originally titled The Reno Brothers. However, due to the immense popularity of Elvis's hit single, Love Me Tender, the film was retitled to match the song. At the time of the film's release, Elvis was given third billing, a rarity that would not be repeated in his later career. Standees, like this one, were used to decorate movie theater lobbies and were often moved from one theater to another. The standee has a crease down the center, a common feature, as these items were designed to be folded for shipping. The popularity of Elvis led to enthusiastic reactions from fans, which often resulted in these standees being damaged or torn. Given that only about 2 or 3 of these standees are known to exist, despite the crease, the standee is estimated to be worth between $10,000 and $15,000 at auction.
I would estimate it at least $10,000 to $15,000.
Oh my God!
So are you going to keep it by your bed still?
Oh.
The owner plans to keep it by their bed, continuing to enjoy the presence of Elvis each day.
You keep this by your bed.
Oh yes.
And you wake up every morning and see Elvis.
Oh yes.
Hidden behind its elegant design lies a clock with a fascinating story and remarkable craftsmanship. What they have here is a drumhead construction, minus the little drop dial. Most English clocks from this period have a cast bezel and molded mahogany case, typically set a bit back. However, this one has straight sides and features beautiful fish scales on the side to release the bell's sound. The speaker then removes the case and examines a few features. When asked about the date, they initially suggest the 18th century. After reconsidering, they narrow it down to the late 1820s to early 1830s. A high-quality clock features a pendulum with a heavy brass bob and a solid steel rod in a brass pendulum crutch. The movement has shaped shoulders on the plates, and the pendulum hangs from a large section at the top. This indicates high quality. 2 chain fuses underneath act as a constant speed drive. The clock is set to good time at home, but loses about a minute in 8 days. It can be adjusted for better accuracy. The speaker knows little about the maker, Mr. Ashley of London, due to multiple Ashleys working at that time. They expressed pleasure that the clock is working well and are glad it was returned, noting it shouldn't be left behind. Its current auction price is realistically around £3,000, making it a great object and a fortunate find.
Its price at auction realistically at the moment is in the region of £3,000.
Right.
It's a great object.
Yes.
So well rescued.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Found at a 1978 auction, this document unveils a piece of early American history. They acquired the document at a WGBH auction in 1978. Back then, before black memorabilia was popular, they felt it should belong to a person of color. They placed the highest bid. They paid $75 for it, which their mother thought was excessive.
How much did you pay for this in 1978?
I paid $75, which at the time my mother thought was outrageous.
They still felt it was a worthwhile purchase. The document features George Barker, born in 1788, a free person of color and US citizen. It describes him as 5'2", with a stable complexion and woolly hair. The relief and protection of American seamen, noting that no provisions existed for persons of color to get citizenship certificates. The document is important, with a beautiful seal and archivally framed from Massachusetts. Scholars, collections, museums, and libraries would greatly value it, and its value is now $3,500 to $5,000.
How about $3,500 to $5,000 for this document?
That's unbelievable.
Now, is your mom still living?
Yeah, yes, she is, and she's going to be mighty shocked.
Make sure you tell her that $75 many years ago was well spent.
A family's antique cannon, once fired by a grandfather, leaves behind a story and a deaf horse. A family heirloom cannon, passed down through generations, holds a tale from a Maine farm. The guest shares that it was fired by her grandfather. The loud blast, she says, caused their horse to go deaf. The appraiser inspects the piece, confirming it's a Winchester model from 1898. It was made to fire blank shotgun shells. The words "not for ball" are etched on the cannon, warning not to use regular ammunition. With a simple mechanism, it was used for starting races or other events. The appraiser is impressed by its condition. She has no idea of its value, and after some examination, the appraiser estimated its worth. The guest is pleasantly surprised by the appraisal.
In this condition, I would estimate at auction, it would bring around $600 to $800.
Oh, wow, that's very nice.
Yeah.
A stack of old comics bought for 5 cents could now be worth a fortune. The guest brings a collection of Marvel comics from the 1960s. They were originally bought for 5 cents each at a secondhand store. The comics include key issues from the Silver Age of comics, including X-Men, Spider-Man, and Strange Tales. The appraiser highlights the historical significance and the condition of the comics as a key feature of their value. X-Men 12 is in rough condition, but it might still be worth a lot. Amazing Spider-Man 20, featuring the first appearance of the Scorpion. The most valuable comic in the collection is Strange Tales 110, the first appearance of Doctor Strange. Despite damage to the back cover, it could still be worth a ton. If it were in mint condition, it could be worth even more. The appraiser estimates the total value of the collection.
When we look at the whole package, your collection today at auction would be $6,000 to $9,000.
Very nice.
Any one of these books, if they're in absolutely mint shape, they're worth tens of thousands of dollars.
The guest presented a Weber singing doll from 1882, which originally belonged to her grandmother, born in 1883. The doll was stolen from the family grocery store and later recovered from an alley, though it had suffered some damage. Its hands and hair had been removed. The appraiser confirmed the doll's identity as a Weber singing doll, highlighting its notable pattern marks, including US Brussels and French patents, though it was assembled in Germany. The doll features the phrase, "I sing sweet by and by," on its front. The doll has a functional whistling mechanism, which is operated by a bellows, a feature that adds to its rarity. The doll has a papier-mâché head and glass inset eyes and filled with horsehair. Despite the original wig being trimmed, it is still intact, which is preferable to having no wig at all. The doll's kid leather gloves, more arms, original shoes, and underwear are all original.
Original shoes, original underwear. This was the original dress that was on the doll.
On today's market, the doll is valued between $800 and $1,200.
On today's retail market, the doll would sell between $800 and $1,200.
An heirloom chest, steeped in history, held the promise of a hidden fortune waiting to be uncovered. The guest explained that the chest came from their hometown, south of Erie, Pennsylvania. It had been in the family for many years, and they'd owned it for 15 years. The appraiser identified the chest as a Hadley chest, made in western Massachusetts. These chests were crafted between 1680 and 1760, making this one over 300 years old. The guest was correct that the top had been replaced. The appraiser explained that many of these chests had replacement lids due to the fragile hinges. The chest still had traces of its original red paint, a desirable feature for collectors. Many similar chests had been refinished, but this one retained its original height. The guest revealed that they had paid a lot for it, knowing about the replacement lid. The appraiser valued the chest between in the current market.
In today's market, I would expect this chest with a replaced lid to bring between $30,000 and $35,000.
An unexpected inheritance of pocket watches revealed a hidden treasure worth thousands. The guest shared that the collection of pocket watches was an inheritance from their late father. He began collecting in the late 60s to help with expenses during graduate school. When the guest went to college, their father borrowed money against the collection for tuition. The appraiser noted that the collection held significant value. He highlighted a Vacherin and Constantine watch worth a lot. The 60-hour Bun Special, complete with its box and papers, could also be worth a lot. A rare Tremont watch made in Boston could fetch some at auction. The Elgin-made Veritas was estimated at a good value as well. The appraiser then revealed a rare Columbus Watch Company piece. This watch with a two-tone damascening finish could prove very valuable as well. In total, this is what the appraiser estimated.
I think you're looking at something at auction around $16,000 to $18,000.
Wow.
Simple decorative pair from China turns out to be a valuable treasure. The guest's parents went to China in the late 1970s, and his father admired the colors on these items. He had a pair sent back home. After his parents passed away, the house items were tagged for a sale. The tag sale organizer mentioned these were beautiful decorative pieces worth a few $100s. The guest decided to keep them instead. The appraiser explained they were porcelain on copper, often called Canton enamel. This technique originated in Limoges and later spread to China. There was slight damage on the edge, with some surface scratching. The appraiser pointed out the painting was of a scholar with an attendant, a common Chinese theme. He estimated a single piece could fetch a lot at auction.
All of those would lead me to put an auction estimate of $5,000 to $8,000 on it.
For the pair, the appraiser valued its worth.
So a pair, I would put an auction estimate at $12,000 to $18,000.
Jewelry is not just beautiful, but it also holds a deep personal and historical value. The guest explained that the jewelry, a necklace and a brooch, came from their father's side of the family and was given to their mother when she married. They even have a photo of their mother wearing these pieces shortly after her wedding. The appraiser identified the brooch as a diamond and platinum piece from around 1900, known for its elegant open design typical of the Edwardian era.
This I would call a transitional piece. The reason being is that the pearl section here is very typical of the Edwardian period.
The necklace was described as a mix of styles, with Edwardian pearls and Art Deco geometric patterns from around 1915. Both pieces were made by Cartier in Paris, which added to their importance. The guest's great-great-grandfather, who was an ambassador in Paris, likely owned them. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
So the insurance value for these two items together would be between $75,000 and $110,000.
That's wonderful.
Imagine owning dolls that have been passed down through generations since the 1800s, each holding its own piece of family history. These three delicate figures originally belonged to the guest's great-great-grandmother. They were cherished by her daughters, Lucy and Annie Hall. These dolls are China dolls.
These three dolls are all considered China dolls. And in doll collecting, China means porcelain that's glazed.
Interestingly, this isn't because of their origin, but because of the porcelain glazed material that gives them their signature shine. Each of these dolls tell a unique story. The first, a bold head China, is one of the earliest made in Germany around 1850.
Some people call it Biedermeier, but I prefer to call it a bald head China. It would have had a wig on it originally.
This is then followed by the second doll, more desirable than the first, with its beautiful long curls and rare brown eyes. Then there's the third doll, with its original clothing and boyish haircut, which stands out for its remarkable condition. Condition plays a major role in the values of this doll. The first doll, missing an arm and a leg, is a testament to its well-loved past and would fetch about.
Has missing a leg, its sawdust is leaking out, its arms are gone, and her wig is gone.
With its curls and charm, the second doll would retail for approximately.
It's a very desirable doll. She would retail for approximately $1,000.
Whoa.
But the real treasure is the third doll, with its pink luster, complexion, and unique hairstyle, valued at an impressive.
This doll would retail for about $2,000 to $3,000.
Wow.
Neon signs in the 1930s were almost always used for outdoor advertising. They were designed to catch attention from the street, lighting up store signs and buildings. However, this particular sign is different. Why? Because it was made for indoor use. Very few neon signs from that time were used inside, making this a rare piece. Neon was typically reserved for exteriors, so these types of signs were very uncommon. The make and detail of it stand out. Its rarity also adds significant value to it. Collectors look for unique items like this, a true treasure of advertising history. It's now worth
Value on this would be about $2,500 to $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
This piece of ceramic art exudes elegance and simplicity. The guest inherited this beautiful piece from her aunt, who lived in Kentucky. Bleique Pottery, founded in 1857, is a renowned Irish ceramics company. The Willitz mark indicates that this piece was produced by Willitz Bleique, an American company known for creating Bleique-style pottery in the late 19th century.
What you have here is a piece of Willitz Bleique, one of the major companies to work in Trenton. Around 1879, 1880, they were making art porcelain. Their mark is shown on the bottom. It says Bleique and Willitz.
The picture's shape, resembling a nautilus shell, is a classic Bleique design. Also, the picture's body is made from bisque, a type of unglazed ceramic material. This Willitz-marked Bleique piece is valued at.
Beyond that, we should talk about value. My guess on a bad day is it's worth $1,000 and maybe $1,500.
That's interesting. I felt that it was valuable, but I didn't know how much.
This color palette raises the question of what inspired this image. This Clementine Hunter oil painting, made in 1960, are valuable for art collectors. The guest's wife purchased these pictures for $10 apiece. Clementine Hunter, a self-taught African-American folk artist from Louisiana, was known for her vibrant and expressive oil paintings.
My wife bought both of them and paid $10 apiece. My wife's impression is that she was a very humble individual.
In addition, she was noted for her distinctive naive and folk art style, which depicted scenes from everyday life.
Obviously, really captured with great honesty figures in everyday life.
Some paintings on the market bear her signature initials CH.
Initialed signature of Clementine Hunter's, the C and the H joined. There are some on the market that are dubious.
At auction, these oil paintings are valued at.
I think I would probably want to insure the two together for $10,000.
Whoa.
These anecdotes provide a behind-the-scenes view into the JFK administration, showcasing the dedication and obstacles faced by the staff. John F. Kennedy was an American politician who served as the 35th President of the United States.
Your experience with the editorial process of working with the President on the, I can imagine, many speeches that were constantly in production in the White House.
The guest worked in the editorial section of the White House. His speech at Yale was one of her most challenging experiences.
Of course, I did work closely with him, so I did know him, and at some point you get to the point that you realize he's not mad, he's not, whatever's going on.
The White House staff, accustomed to older presidents, found JFK's youth brought a new energy.
One morning I was walking by and he was reading the paper. Everybody read the paper as much as they could and as many as they could before you got to work, because he was bound to ask something.
Often, he sought the opinion of his staff on any random subject. He was generally characterized as an incredible person. Bill Graham's rock postcards and posters are iconic collectible. Bill Graham, a renowned concert promoter, produced thousands of posters and postcards for legendary rock concerts from the 1960s through to the 1990s. Graham worked with notable artists like Wes Wilson.
And Wes Wilson is kind of recognized now as being the most productive, and he's really well respected, as all the other ones we mentioned, and there are many more in here.
Posters often feature intricate designs, vibrant colors, and swirling patterns. Back in the day, people used to hang these posters on the walls of their rooms. The guests bought these mailers from concerts at the Fillmore Auditorium and the Avalon Ballroom, promoted by Bill Graham. Rick Griffin, one of the most popular artists, was known for his 3D look designs. Limited print runs or hard-to-find designs increased the value.
Kind of a higher production around 1967. Phil Graham went into kind of mega production, and he was doing, on some of these, as high as 20,000 of them.
And at auction, these collections are valued at.
But I would say conservatively, really conservatively, you have maybe $8,000 to $10,000 retail value in these, yes.
Ostertag Minaudière and Cartier compacts are exquisite examples of luxury vintage accessories. This collection was an inheritance from the guest's mother. Cartier, a French luxury jeweler, renowned for iconic designs, made this iconic set.
The Cartier, this would be the latest of the group, probably circa 1940, 45.
Right. This elegant Cartier set, designed for holding lipstick, is made of 18 karat gold.
18 karat gold, very elegant way to be putting your lipstick on in the evening. They were very chic times.
The second Cartier compact dates back to the Art Deco period, around 1925.
The second one is Cartier also.
Oh, it is, okay.
This is from the Art Deco period.
Also, the minaudière, a small ornate case or bag, is often decorated with precious stones and metals.
The third case is a minaudière, which these came about in the 1930s.
The diamonds and rubies on this minaudière form a floral design that dates back to 1935 to 1938.
So here you have this beautiful minaudière with the diamond and rubies, sort of in a floral motif. This would have been circa 1935 to 38. The rubies are probably Burmese.
At an auction, the simple Cartier piece would be valued between $3,000 and $5,000, and the deco Cartier $6,000 to $8,000, and the minaudière is valued at.
Wow, pretty
Must have been quite a lady.
I would imagine so.
Serious collectors, museums, and institutions interested in gemology, jewelry history, or industrial legacy will be drawn to this collection. These sets were very popular in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. This collection has been in the guests' possession for about 25 years. Diamonds might be mounted in gold, silver, or platinum settings, or presented loose. This set reflects the early days of gemology, where diamond classification and cutting techniques were evolving.
Now, you were also fortunate enough to have here a letter which describes all of the stones in detail and their history. These sets were very popular in the late 19th century, early 20th century.
Accompanying documents, certificates of authenticity, or provenance details can significantly impact the set's value. Although this particular set came from a jeweler in New York City, it was cut in Germany. At auction, a set like this would be valued at about.
This set is complete with documentation. At auction, a set like this would bring somewhere between $6,000 to $12,000.
Oh.
A man acquired a vintage poster from a friend who was clearing out belongings after his mother's passing. This poster depicts a magician named Carlini, whose story had been passed down with a twist. According to the tale, Carlini was a mediocre magician who followed a more skilled magician, Carlini trying to steal his limelight. However, this detail was inaccurate, as no such magician Carlini existed.
I don't know the story you said about following a magician named Carolini, and a quick look at the internet confirmed that that doesn't necessarily seem to be the case.
In reality, Carlini was a Dutch magician, Ludwig Trinker, born in 1907, who performed extensively in Berlin before World War II. During the war, Carlini was arrested twice by the Nazis and reportedly collaborated with the French resistance, creating an illusion of supernatural power. The poster showed Carlini with a magic wand over a brazier, emitting green smoke. This 1930s Vienna lithograph of Carlini's performance has recently sold for around.
Correct. And in 2008, at auction, it sold for $1,000.
In the late 1960s, a woman discovered a unique glass lamp for sale through a small neighborhood newspaper flyer. She bought the lamp for $125, and it was cherished but hidden from her rambunctious children. This lamp was created by Tiffany Studios, led by Louis Comfort Tiffany, son of the Tiffany & Co. founder. Dating from around 1905, the shade is known as the rose helmet shade due to its helmet-like shape. Its base, an exquisite example of Art Nouveau design, is called the arc and leaf, featuring beautifully stylized leaf patterns. Unusually, the shade and base have remained together, with matching gold detailing. Tiffany lamps, luxury items in 1905, sold for about $200, a hefty sum for the era. Today, this Tiffany lamp is valued at between.
This lamp is worth between $80,000 and $125,000. Mom had a good eye.
In a dimly lit room, an extraordinary artifact rests on display, a gold egg with a fascinating history. Shining faintly, its intricate details and luxurious finish hint at its ancient origins. This isn't a family heirloom though. The owner jokes that his family disowned him, but this egg was borrowed from a museum, unbeknownst to its keeper. What's truly jaw-dropping is that this egg is believed to be one of the 3 gold eggs commissioned by Cleopatra in 30 BC. 2 of these eggs went to public collections, but the third vanished during World War II, taken by German soldiers. For decades it was lost, until now, recently rediscovered. This egg could be worth a staggering amount. If the legal complications of its borrowing can be cleared, its highest estimated value is over $100 million at auction. The story surrounding this egg adds layers of intrigue, but its craftsmanship and history make it priceless. With ties to Cleopatra and a mysterious wartime journey, this artifact is more than just an egg, it's a lost treasure with endless allure. At auction, the sky's the limit for this glittering piece of history, with highest estimated values exceeding the $100 million mark. It's an extraordinary relic with a past as rich as its gold surface. Discover the enchanting world of Mark Brown, the beloved creator of Arthur, as he unravels the hidden treasures of his artistic journey on Martha's Vineyard. Mark Brown, creator of Arthur, lives on a secluded Massachusetts island. His home is an old sheep barn on Martha's Vineyard. Each morning, he starts working around 7 o'clock.
So every morning about 7 o'clock, I come out here and start working.
Sometimes he forgets to take a lunch break. He has written Arthur books for 44 years. His journey began with bedtime stories for his son. Arthur's Nose was published in 1976. PBS aired the first episode of Arthur 20 years later.
Arthur's Nose was published in 1976, and 22 picture books, and 20 years later, PBS aired the very first episode of Arthur.
He faces a challenge with storing thousands of illustrations, and appraiser Colin Fesco discusses their potential value. Smaller works may range from $500 to $1,000 each, and mid-range pieces could be worth $3,000 to $5,000. A standout artwork sold for $7,800 at auction, and Mark acknowledges his instincts about his best pieces. Appraiser Alan Katz evaluates his American folk art portraits. One portrait, by Joseph Whiting Stock, was bought for over $6,000. Its current value could be around $15,000 to $25,000. Mark presents a recent acquisition, a portrait he suspects is by Ruth and Samuel Shute.
Mark Brown has a hunch he bought a rare painting by 19th century husband and wife artists Ruth and Samuel Shute. But was he right?
He paid $30,000 for it, despite its auction estimate of $4,000 to $6,000. Alan suggests it could be worth $25,000 today. If it's confirmed as a Shute's piece, it could reach $125,000. Mark is eager to conduct more research on the portrait, and he is grateful for the insights from Colleen and Alan.